This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia.
Good morning. My name is Michael Ryan. I am the Volusia County Communications Director, and this is Volusia County Today. I am joined today with Heather Belden, and on the communications team, and Tracy Mestre and Lisa Perez with DeBary Hall. Is that close?
Absolutely.
We can call her. She is the girl of DeBary.
Lisa DeBary. I like that. I just gave you a new name.
We've changed your name.
I like it.
I tell you what, before we get into DeBary Hall, because as you guys know, I'm fairly new here and don't know much about us, so I'm looking forward to our discussion. But before we get into that, we have a couple news items we want to touch base on. Heather, you want to talk about? We had a pretty significant retirement this week.
We do. A Volusia County staple. I grew up watching Claire Metz, and I remember the first time meeting her in this role as a PIO with Volusia County was during the hurricanes last year, and I was starstruck. She is a local celebrity. She is someone that we all have watched and trusted, and after 39 years, she is retiring. It's definitely heartbreaking for us here in Volusia County. I know that she delivers the news that we have fairly, honestly, quickly. She will call me, and I always know that whatever story that she's running that's from, the business that I'm running is going to be a great one. So she will be missed.
Yeah, having not been in Volusia County for very long, I only have one Claire Metz story. I met Claire Metz for the first time on Tuesday, and I handed her she was interviewing somebody with us, one of our council members, and I handed her my business card, and she immediately said, "Thanks, I don't need this," and handed it to somebody else because I think she was retiring, like that was her last story or one of her last stories. So, but I do understand. I also, the meeting, you probably remember this, the meeting where I was confirmed as director, Claire, my wife was there. It was a pretty big moment in our life, and Claire Metz walks through, and my wife literally jumped up and followed her through and left me, and didn't care about me, and followed her through and went and introduced herself and stuff. So I certainly have an understanding of how significant she is here. So that's going to be big for us. We're looking forward to working with our new reporter that's going to take her place, though.
Not too much, Claire. If you're listening, we will miss you.
We will miss you. We also had another big event this week. On Tuesday, we had a county council meeting, and the council approved the budget for fiscal year 23 and 24 with actually the big thing they did, Heather, they eliminated tax, which is a big deal. The communication tax went away with this budget, which is a milestone for this commission. And we also approved a budget that focuses significantly on services and infrastructure. Could I sound more government, right?
Right. Infrastructure.
And tell me a little bit, what's going on the beaches this weekend?
So the beaches, as always, I know if you're listening, you've probably heard us say this 1 million times, but please be safe. The rip currents are gnarly, as David Hunt would always say. Stay in an area that is guarded by a lifeguard. You can find those on the Volusia Beaches app, which is a free app that you can download to your cell phone. And if you are going to go in the water, go in an area where you can always touch the ground, and keep an eye out for those who are young or who may not be the most experienced swimmers. Rip currents may not seem like something that is going to be a problem, but they can get on you quickly, and it can turn very fast. So be safe out there. Swim in front of those staff lifeguards.
That's good advice for the weekend. One last item before we kick over to DeBary Hall, too. We had, at the council meeting on Tuesday, we had quite a showing for what people are calling the fuel farm in Ormond Beach. And we want everybody to know that we're working on a dedicated web page for that should be up and running on Monday, that will have quite a bit of information about the location, the zoning, and we know a lot of people are concerned about that and want to stay up to date on the progress. So that's going to be the best way to do that at volusia.org.
Awesome. I know that's definitely a hot topic right now. So,
yeah. So okay, enough boring governmental news. Let's talk about what we were off air, you called a sleepy historic site.
It's definitely not a sleepy historic site. DeBary Hall was built in 1871 by a very wealthy Champagne importer by the name of Frederick DeBary. He chose the beautiful St. Johns River to build this hunting estate. It includes 7 buildings, which has an 8,000 square foot mansion, a fully renovated stable, a tenant house, an ice house, a caretaker's house, and a beautiful visitor center. Frederick DeBary spent his winters there. He also got into the orange growing business like so many other people in the late 1800s, and the commercial steamboating business. But mainly it was a place for sport hunting and hospitality and entertaining his friends, who happened to be some of the wealthiest people of the time, the Astors, the Vanderbilts, the Goulds, 2 presidents, possibly 3, and the Prince of Wales, who became King Edward. So we have a beautiful site that you can tour, but we also stay incredibly busy with our education coordinator, Lisa Perez. She keeps us hopping constantly.
And I grew up in DeBary, and I am ashamed to admit that I had never gone there until I started working here with Volusia County. If you are even remotely in the area, I encourage you to go out there. It is such an incredible site. The building is this old building, but it's so beautiful in the craftsmanship that they did use to build it. Can you tell us some features of the house? I know, like, the windows are a big deal. There's a basement.
Well, like I said, the house is 8,000 square feet. We have 64 hand-blown glass windows that are original to the house. 54 doors. The site itself is just covered in native trees and plants. We recently had an employee who left to go to bigger and better things, and she said the thing she missed the most was coming to work at such a beautiful place, which I thought was pretty incredible thing to say about it.
Yeah, the grounds it's very beautiful. You can go walk around, you can do a tour, and like you said, there are so many things that Lisa has planned there. Why don't you tell us about some of the upcoming events, because we're getting into some really fun ones.
Oh yes, this is my favorite time of year. We're entering spooky season, and so we are doing some spooky things at DeBary Hall. One of the big things we do every year is we have creepy candlelight tours, and so those are in the evening, which is special because normally the tours are during the day from 10 to 4. So for 2 nights in October, you get the chance to walk through this 151-year-old mansion in the dark. We even turn off the emergency lights and we lead you through by lantern. So there's lots of things that could be hiding in the corners. And Tracy and I dress up in Victorian clothing and we guide you through the house, and we talk about some things that have happened in the house, but also about like Victorian mourning customs. They were into a lot of interesting things when people died, and so we just talk about a variety of things. It's educational and a little spooky. Nothing too scary. It's not Halloween Horror Nights or anything like that, but
a few corny jokes.
Yeah, lots of puns. We're big on the puns for sure, and it's just a unique way to see the house, and we're doing it Friday, October 20th and Saturday, October 21st, and we do one at 7 o'clock and one at 8:15.
Okay, Lisa, I have to ask then, in the spirit of the season, see what I did there?
Yeah, I love it.
Having just moved from thank you for laughing, Heather. Thank you. Having just moved from St. Augustine, where they will tell you every house is haunted in St. Augustine. What are the stories here? There's got to be one.
You have to come on the tour to find out.
we haven't seen a ghost in months. No. However,
months.
Personally,
it's a very old house. It's a little creaky. Several years ago, when we had Hurricane Matthew bearing down on us, the former site director and myself, we were closing up. You have to shut all the shutters. They have the original shutters. It makes it very dark in there. And we were standing with an antique box piano in front of us, and we were probably about 10 feet on each side, and as we're talking about, the hurricane coming, do we have everything ready, several of the piano keys went off in front of us. Now, maybe it was the air pressure.
I'm out.
Maybe it
Never
was,
going back.
Maybe it was the incoming storm. I don't know how to explain it. So I would just say some unexplained things have happened there.
And you definitely sent me a picture from the security cameras a couple weeks ago, if I remember correctly, of something in the window.
It might have been a face, or,
Just a
shadow.
Some wind.
Yes, at 2:00 in the morning.
See, that's going to make that night tour so much better now that I know that.
We would love to have you come and join us.
Absolutely. I have 2 teenage girls in the house that I love to terrify every chance I get. So, and they think they're much braver than they really are. So we will definitely. What else is going on this season?
Okay, so we have a lot of things. Like she said, we keep very busy. We have lemonade lectures at DeBary Hall, and those are typically on Saturdays at 1 p.m. And we serve lemonade and cookies, and it's inside the beautiful barn that we have that has been fully renovated. And we have a variety of speakers. We love to have presenters talk on several different topics because I know what is interesting to the community. So we're going to have someone come talk about Lake Apopka, their history. We have someone coming to talk about the trains in Volusia County, the very first train that left out of Port Orange. And we also have someone coming to talk about the native plants in Florida and why it's important to plant native plants in your yard and the benefits of them. And speaking of plants, we also have a Master Gardener series. And so once a month on Tuesdays at 1 p.m., we have some Master Gardeners that come in and talk about a variety of topics. And since it is spooky season, in keeping with that, we're going to talk about plants that bloom at night. So different plants that bloom in the evening once the sun goes down that feed our evening pollinators like bats. So that should be a very interesting program as well.
Wow. And so are there fees associated with it?
Most of our programs are free and open to the public. There are a few things that we charge for. So the lemonade lectures are free. The creepy candlelight we do charge, that's $10. And then we do line dancing at DeBary Hall, and we do that on Thursday nights. Oh yeah, we kick it up in the barn.
She really has a cult following at this point. We have a waiting list for it.
Yes, and it's so much fun, and that costs $3 just to kind of cover us being there in the evening, because that's at night as well.
I think $3 for line dancing is pretty reasonable.
Right? Yeah, we try to keep it low cost because we want people to come, and you never know what's going to draw somebody to DeBary Hall, and a lot of people, like you said, have never been there, and so they're like, oh, I love dancing, and they're like, wow, look at this beautiful place, and take a tour and come back, bring friends, become volunteers. So again, a nice variety of things to bring people in.
And I love with the lemonade lectures, I help you with the calendar every month.
Yeah.
They're always different. I don't think I've ever seen one repeat. So, you can be a first timer or you can be somebody who's a cult follower. And there's always something that you guys can learn. And I love how intentional you guys are about keeping true to the season or something that's going on. And I just love how much you guys love what you do in the community that you serve. So
we feel very fortunate that we get to serve the residents of Volusia County and that we can provide things for them at little or no cost, entertainment. So we really want them to be able to come and enjoy this county property and do what we can to make enrich their lives a little bit more. I mean, we have the best job in the whole world.
They're not even lying, Michael. They're honestly like this.
You don't have the best job in the whole world?
I have the best job,
they do.
best boss, the best.
So I'm curious, where were you guys before DeBary Hall, each of you?
I was a school teacher. Surprised. I taught American history for about 15 years, 8th grade American history. So this was...
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah. It was, I miss the kids, but I love what I do now.
Yep. And I worked in libraries. So I'm from Marion County in Ocala. So I worked for the public library there in the children's department for about 5 years. And then I came over to this side. And then I worked actually at the DeLand Library up in Volusia. Wonderful library, great people there. And then I stumbled upon DeBary Hall and was like, this just sounds wonderful. Not that the library wasn't, but this is equally as fantastic.
I totally knew that. When you were running through your list of events, you were doing it like every librarian I've ever worked with. So can we take it again for me, who I've not been in Volusia County for a long time? Can we take a step back to the history? What year was it built?
1871. Last year we celebrated our 150th anniversary.
Oh wow, that's a big one. Okay. And you were talking about the windows, which made me wonder, like, what does it take to maintain something at that historical level? It's got to be a lot, right?
Wow. Yes, it's a lot, and it keeps me very busy. It's constant upkeep, with a 150-year-old building in Florida with the water and humidity.
Sure.
And all of our buildings are white. So it is. It's I'm constantly fighting water intrusion, really, is probably the biggest one. But it's a labor of love. I absolutely love the place.
Wow. There are worse places to go to work every day.
That's absolutely correct. I even said yesterday, Lisa and I went over to the mansion and we opened the door, and I said, I still, even though I've been there 7 years, that smell when you walk in, just the smell of the house, I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And how do you take care of the windows? I'm super curious about that.
We do it by hand with a very soft, like a microfiber towel and alcohol.
Okay, wow.
And it's time consuming.
What about the grounds themselves?
We're very fortunate. The crew at Gemini Springs, they take care of my grounds. We have a groundskeeper named Jonathan who just keeps everything looking fantastic. Before I have to ask for something to be done, it's like he's read my mind. It's constantly trimming trees because if hurricanes come or we've got some great wind gusts, we don't want anything hitting, branches hitting the mansion or the windows. So it's constant upkeep.
Heather just bought a new house, or just built a new house. Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
Built from the ground up.
You may need to teach her how to take care of her windows.
I need some cleaning tip. I'm listening. I like it,
Alcohol
Jonathan.
and Q-tips.
If you're in the hunt for more jobs, come out and take care of my grounds.
There you go.
So on the site, there's some older buildings, but there is a newer building, or
yes.
two?
Well, we have a visitor center.
Okay.
And the only two new buildings, which they're fairly new, early 2000s, is the visitor center and the pavilion. The rest are original. Our visitor center, we are also a Trails Welcome Center, which is also, one of my, loves is the trails. You can literally walk out our doors and you're on the Spring to Spring Trail. Inside the visitor center, we have an interactive trail map, so you can go on it. You can drill down and you can literally plan your trip. You can access over 80 miles of uninterrupted trails from our site. You can see which trailheads have restrooms, which ones have bike facilities. We have a bike repair station right on property and a bike rack. We will even loan you bike locks so you can take the tour. It's just set in a perfect location. It will tell you if you can take your horse on the trail, your bike, if you can walk. So it's got a dual purpose there.
And take some breaks from the heat. You guys have snacks there for everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Restrooms?
Snacks, cold drinks, beautiful restroom facilities.
When you're open, but...
Yeah. So we do have the pavilion that is open from sunrise to sunset. So because we have a lot of late trail users that will come and relax and take a breather in our pavilion.
I've been on portions of the trail, the Spring to Spring. Is it all paved, or is it multi-use?
It is all paved and it is all multi-use. So you can literally go from DeBary Hall to Blue Springs. Okay. Uninterrupted. And then you can go the opposite direction, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you can go all the way to Titusville in one direction and all the way to Edgewater the other direction.
I think if you whisper, they can still hear you.
We both are avid trail riders, so sometimes I definitely look for her help when we're helping guests plan their trips. We also do, she doesn't brag enough about herself, we also do historic bike tours where we'll take people on a long bike ride and we'll tell them about the history of the area. We do historic kayaks where we'll go out in the kayak and we'll tell people can you imagine giving a history lecture out in the middle of the St. Johns River? We also do, what else? Oh, your story time is also.
Story time, yes, with the little ones.
They've got stuff for kids, athletes, people who like to dance, garden.
Something for everyone.
For everyone.
And we love the trails so much. Like she said, we're avid trail users, and we love taking people out on the trails. So whether you've been on the trails before, but you want to learn history of the stuff that you're passing, or you're unsure about the trails and you want a more guided experience so that someone is taking you along and showing you the trails and where they can go.
You're with someone.
It's something for everyone, and those are free. And we're starting now that the weather is cooling down. We're going to start doing those once a month, and we'll do one from DeBary Hall to Lake Monroe and back, which is about 9 miles. We'll also go up to Lake Beardsford and ride down into Blue Spring and back again. So we'll do different portions of the trail. And then we even go to Green Springs, and we'll ride all the way out to Guys Road and back, and that's about 18 miles. So couple of varieties of lengths and different locations along the trail.
So I'd like to do this a couple times throughout the show, but how I work here and I don't know how to get all this information. How do I find out all the information about all these events?
You want to take it?
Oh, sure.
Go for it.
We do have a Facebook page. You just look under DeBary Hall Historic Site, and you can access our Facebook page. Also, if you go to volusia.org, type in DeBary Hall, that has our list of our calendar events, and all of the trail information can be found online. There is a trail app that you can download that will tell you where you are on the trail, what trails to use, what facilities are there. And you can also just go to, the Volusia County Trails webpage, and that will give you a list of the trails and the trails maps as well.
Yeah. I've done a bike ride with them.
You're doing line dancing before I'm done with this.
I'm more of a story time kind of gal, but
yeah,
it's
we
a
broke
lot
her
of
in with
fun.
the hilly one.
It's a lot of fun.
And have you walked the grounds?
Oh my gosh, yes, I have. Now that I found it. We talked about DeBary Hall when we were kids, and I always thought it was just an old haunted mansion. I didn't know it was this like booming entertainment center, essentially. But I've been to the stable. I took my kids there for Christmas breakfast with Santa.
Oh, how cool.
And it was incredible. They got a very nice, slow-paced visit with Santa, not like the mall where you're waiting for hours.
That's what I was just thinking, yeah.
Yeah, no, we got to eat breakfast. He sat down and told the kids this like beautiful Christmas story and spent all this one-on-one time with them. It was really special.
Wow. So events year-round and specialized for the seasons, is what I'm hearing?
Yes, so we do events year-round. We have lemonade lectures every month. Bike rides we'll do for about 6 months. Line dancing, except for in the summertime, we do take a little bit of a break from that. And then Christmas time, we decorate with over 20 trees, and we do, again, evening tours at Christmas time, and then we do breakfast with Santa. In February, no, it'll be March this year, we do a big Living History Day, which is free and open to the public, and we have different reenactors from various time periods in history, and we have presenters talking about what's under the dress, what they would wear underneath all those old clothes, and we have Civil War reenactors.
A whole Civil War encampment. Really.
Yes, a whole Civil War encampment. And our docents dress up, our tour guides dress up and reenact as family members to guide you through the house, which is a little bit more special than the regular tours. So we just have stuff all year.
Yes, and we also do rentals. We rent out the stable for events, business conferences, weddings, quinceañeros. Recently, we had a 60th birthday party that they set it up as a 60s bash, including the Beatles there you could take your pictures with. So we also do rentals on top of everything else.
And tea parties.
And our tea parties.
Our tea parties, we're getting ready to have one this Saturday. It is sold out, but we'll do another one in December. During the holiday, we do public tea parties about once a quarter. But if you have a group of people, 12 to 20 guests, we'll do a private tea party for you.
Wow. And so can you rent out any of the other facilities or buildings?
No, just the stable.
Okay.
You rent out, but we do have. You know what, Michael? We do. We rent out the pavilion.
Okay.
It's nice to have. It's there. You have the backdrop of the historic site, so it is a nice place if you're having a picnic or, some sort of family get together.
So when I hear stable, I think hay on the floor and horses and stuff like that. My guess is it's not like that.
No, it's not like that. It's about a little over 1,700 square feet. There's 3 restrooms. There's a caterer's kitchen. The floors are actually the original floors. They are so beautiful. They took them out board by board, refinished them, and laid them back down. We also have 2 of DeBary's original carriages that he would have used to go out hunting or to go to Enterprise to pick up his guest. So no, it's not a, there were horses there. We still have their little horses nameplates in the side of the barn, but no, it's been completely renovated. It's beautiful.
What were the horses' names? That's a test.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Dolly is one. Oh, we're gonna get in trouble for this one from our docent.
Our
Frederick's
docents are
gonna come
probably
haunt you.
listening and shouting at the radio right now.
Well, I tell you what, we'll let you off the hook with Dolly then. So how did Volusia County acquire the property?
Well, let's see. In 1967, it was put on the National Historic Registry, and the state of Florida took it over. Sometime in the 90s, you had a group of citizens who rallied. Dirksen, I believe, was amongst them. He was more involved in the 60s. He was a senator, and they, rallied to preserve and save this place. So sometime in the 90s, the county agreed to take it over, and they run the site. They own the park and the site, but the state of Florida still owns the mansion and what's inside of the fence.
Okay. And Tracy, how long have you been there?
I've only been there 7 years.
Okay. Well, 7. That's not an only. That's not an only. Lisa.
I'm still learning new things.
Oh yeah, 4 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
And the other buildings, are they in use at all? The ice house is what I'm curious about for whatever reason.
You have to understand that Frederick was very wealthy, and he was a champagne importer, so he had, the finest things. So the ice house was actually where they would store cold meats and probably champagne and some dairy things. So it was cork lined with blocks of ice that were brought down from the Northeast. Eventually, there were ice manufacturers like in Sanford and DeLand in the late 1800s, but at first they literally shipped blocks of ice down from lakes up north. They'd put them in that ice house, and that would keep things cold. We also have the original ice box in the back kitchen where you can see where they would bring the blocks of ice in there, and it's lined with tin, and put them in there to keep things cold inside the house. Probably more like the dairy and butter. And there's a little cabinet for champagne, I think, because it has a lock on it.
Is that where you guys keep your stuff too? You keep it in the ice house, or is it in the main house? It's funny to think about, like shipping ice from the lakes up north, and like if my icebreaker goes down now, I call the police. Like it's an emergency.
Right.
I can't imagine having to wait for ice.
Yeah. Well, you have to understand at that point in time, it was the middle of the wilderness, DeBary Hall.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information at